Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Sayem and I have been working as a project manager with one of the largest departments here in Australian state government department. And based on my experience, I'm going to tell you some of the key reasons that why some of the projects actually fail despite having the best plan behind the execution. I want to take you deep into the human side of the project failure. Because let's face it, most failures don't come from bad plans. They come from what we ignore between the lines. The very first aspect I would like to highlight is the illusion of control. When you first start a project, we feel very powerful. We build the timeline, we develop a project plan, we color-coded the deliverables, and it feels like we're in control. But that's the first mistake, confusing planning with control. I once worked with a government department rolling out a data collection platform. The plan was watertight, scope defined, deadline set, and deliverables locked in. But halfway through, the director changed. And guess what? The new director had an entirely different outlook, the way she was looking into the project. And that changed entirely everything. So too often we think that projects are like machines and we have control over everything, but we ignore the human factors. So it's really important to understand the human factors, that projects are combined of humans and there are lots of human factors, and humans are inherently driven by their emotion, personal biases. So once we mix this human factor inside the project deliverables, it becomes increasingly complex and the illusion of control is gone. So whenever you're setting up the deliverable of a project, you must have to consider these human factors as well and forget the illusion of control. So rather than being very control-oriented, try to keep your project plan very flexible, which will help you to deal with some of those unforeseen human factors. Let's talk about planning in real life versus reality. Your project plan is a compass, not a cage. It's here to guide you, but not to trap you. In reality, you'll hit roadblocks, staff will call in sick, priorities will shift, and even a pandemic might disrupt the entire ecosystem. So you always have to consider these factors, that plan versus reality always changes. So you need to consider these factors and also the unforeseen factors as well, which can potentially impact the actual or the perfect plan of your project as well. I've seen many teams trying to fix this spreadsheet, but rather than trying to fix the actual problem. And I know there are buzzwords like agile versus waterfall. Agile adapts with change and waterfall resists it. But beyond the buzzwords and the jargons, it's all about the mindset that how to stay flexible and adapt with the change that might happen. A successful project team learns to ask every week, is their plan still relevant? And if not, they adjust. So always look into your project plan as a living document, but not a rigid set of text in a black and white document, and have a mindset to adapt with the change that your project will encounter continuously. Emotional burnout. Another key factor that is not often factored in is that humans can encounter those emotional aspects, and burnout becomes one of the key factors. Because once the project starts, sometimes it feels like a sprint. You just continue meetings after meetings, workflows after workflows, long clunky spreadsheets and data dashboards and everything. So you always need to constantly check those human factors, that whether the processes or the workflows inherent in your project is creating those burnout for your project team members. So it's really important to check in and understand their emotional state of mind as well. And always, I would definitely recommend to have those wellness days as well, when you can check in with your employees and teams and make sure that they at least have those bandwidth that they can take on more load of your project as well. You need to constantly check their emotional resilience and emotional stability as well. So don't make your project feel like a rigid set of structure that only talks about the work and deliverables and ignores those human factors, those emotional aspects. The team members that you're dealing with, they're not only just humans there to work in your project, but they're also humans outside of their project life as well. So sometimes have those check-ins, talk about their other affairs, like, what's happening in their family, how are they doing, their emotional wellness and things like that. So emotional burnout, that's really one of the key reasons why I've seen many projects fail. So really focus on the well-being, the mindfulness aspect of their team members, and that's really a key factor. Here's another reason why many projects fail. They're over-managed and under-led. So it's really important to understand the difference between managing a project as opposed to leading a project. It's really important to give your employees a sense of empowerment, and leaders do that. Managers don't always empower people. While being a project manager is really key, but a project manager should also change a hat and become a leader. And leaders do not just manage, they lead by example. So it's really important to understand that when you have to manage and when you have to lead, because leaders, they will lead by example, they will empower, and they will create more leaders. So as a project manager, understand what are the challenges of your team members so that you're able to help them, lead them, guide them their path, and not just exert control or set boundaries that they should be doing what, how they can improve, how they can overcome challenges and barriers. So managing a project is really important, but more important than that is leading the project, being a leader, being accountable above all, empowering your employees, and take the ownership of the project's success or failure. There's a quote commonly used in project management is that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Setting up the right culture in your project team is really important. Lack of having a good culture or a toxic culture can easily eat up your strategy, ruin your best perfect plan. So setting up the right culture is really the key, and the right culture can guide your project towards success, whereas a toxic culture can easily ruin everything, jeopardize the perfect plan, create biases, confusions, and so many other challenges which you wouldn't be able to solve. So why do most projects fail even with the best plan? Because the plan is only a map, but the real journey is messy, full of challenges and emotional aspect, and a lot of the factors which are hidden between the lines. So whatever I've said here is based on my experience of working in many successful projects and also many failed projects as well. So whatever I've said, maybe if you've got anything else to share, definitely make sure to write that in the comment below and consider subscribing to this channel as well. I talk in this channel about research and project management and a whole lot of other factors which are based on my personal experience, and I'd definitely like to hear from you as well what you think. Stay connected, consider subscribing, and hopefully I'll see you in other videos.